the lady of the day is a Ugandan librarian and a prolific African Wikipedian. If you even have time, you can start guessing who I'm talking about in the chat. She's a contributor to Wikipedia, Wikidata, Wikisource, and the Wikimedia community user group at Uganda. She's from a humble start as a Wikipedia reader at a transformative role. She has risen and has not become a teacher and a community supporter. She has also become an inspiring figure in the pursuit of barrier-free access to human knowledge. And today we get to celebrate her work and hear from her. Ladies and gentlemen, can I see claps? Can I see ululations as I hand over the mic to Alice Kibombo?
Thank you so much, Wambui. Whoever wrote that description of me, whoever gave that profile of me, the next time you see me or you know you're in a place where people know me, remind me to give you a present. This is not bribing because I also couldn't believe who was being talked about. Yeah. I'm just a regular librarian from Uganda. So I might say things that might give me away because English is not my first language. But I would like to extend my appreciation to Africa Wiki Women. One, for inviting me to share what it is that I know. It is an honor. And I would also like, again, to extend appreciation to Africa Wiki Women for organizing these sessions. When I actively began editing in around 2016, these sessions were far and few, and most of the exposure I got was through another mission-aligned organization, Wiki in Africa, through the Wiki Loves Women contest and organizing it and the administration that went with it. So I've grown through the ranks. I've been a Wikimedian in residence. I'm a community educator and everything in between. And I am still hungry to learn. So if you see me in learning workshops, please, if I say I'm in Dubai, you are also in Dubai. Don't complicate matters, yeah? We are learning together. And then a big shout out to everybody that has taken time to be able to join us. It's a Saturday afternoon, it's 3 p.m. here. People have competing interests, but I believe it is the want to learn that has brought you here. So when I was approached about this topic, I was asked to talk a little bit, not even a little bit, to talk about commons without chaos, focusing on copyright, the Creative Commons, as well as ethical media sharing. And that is something that surrounds us, something that we even do without thinking about that much. But at any one point, every time that we are using work, it is something that is at the back of our minds, especially for me, who is a librarian. Now, I know Adenka had given you this quiz. This is not a quiz, but in light of everything it is that we know, first I'm going to begin with some assumptions. I will assume that everybody here has contributed to any of the Wikimedia projects at any one time. And I will also assume that we all know what Wikimedia Commons is, even if we do not know it in depth, at least we have known what it is. We have an idea what it is. So I'll base my presentation on these basic facts. When it comes to sharing media online, it looks very simple. Receive a link through your WhatsApp, through your Telegram, forward. Receive a meme, reshare people's WhatsApp statuses. There's a government speech that is in your DMs, and you just share. It looks very simple. Just find something and you use it, especially in Africa, where our copyright laws do not extend to our DMs, yeah? But in reality, when it comes to sharing media online, guys, it is a battlefield out there. It's full of confusion. It is full of feelings about what is allowed, what is ethical, and what is reusable. Many times these things are not going to occur to you in the heat of the moment as you're sharing, but later when the legal implications come up to you, then you will understand. I'll give you a case that happened in Uganda recently. So our local government structure is structured in such a way that we have district records officers, as well as the legal structure also has some legal clerks. And there was a lady who was a legal clerk, and she supplied the information in a certain file to some parties. Now, I don't know if they were parties to the case or not, but as I speak right now, she has been charged. So there are many things that come with it, but online media sharing looks simple. Find something, use it, but it is a minefield out there. So I'm just going to ask us to put this in the chat section. We won't take more than a minute on this. Yeah? Why is media reuse so confusing? Now on the screen, you have images 1, 2, and 3. I need you to pay attention to the images. Whatever it is that you do, do not laugh. Look at the sources and then tell me or tell us in the chat area if I wanted to do something on any of the Wikimedia projects, would I actually be able to use this image? So please, the chat section can begin in around 45 seconds. Yeah, and also the reasons why, yeah? Number 3, you can, I'm seeing. Adeni, all of them or some of them? Which ones can I use and which ones can I not use, and why? Can I use number 1 in a Wikimedia presentation? Okay, number 3, because there's a source of information. Number 3, I know Mgisha, speak like a Ugandan, know what? Yeah? I also go with number 3. Number 3 can be used. How about 1 and 2? Why can't I use 1 and 2? Why can't I use 1 and 2? Okay. Sarah Monday, you said you can use number 3 because of the license, yeah? 3 because it's attributed. Yeah, 24 Ray, you say it will be copyright. I can't use 1 and 2 because it has no known license, yeah? Okay, it looks informative. The answers are as many as the people, but we will move on to that. Yeah? Anna, 1 and 2 actually have copyright licenses to them. It's just that we are not aware. 1 and 2, they are works of somebody's intellect and creativity. Yeah? So they actually do. Even when you don't know it, assume. Yeah? I hope you will also extend grace to your exes and, give them jobs in this economy. The hustle is real, my people. The hustle is real. Okay. So let's move on, colleagues. So everybody seems to agree, or the majority seems to point to number 3. Why? One of the common reasons I have seen is because it is properly attributed as well as the source. But the rest also have sources, by the way. And we're going to look at that, yeah? Others have talked about copyright. So allow me to talk about copyright a little bit. Every one of us has heard of it, but there's a universal definition and then there's the individual application. Yeah. Those countries that you hear that, oh, after Alice has created a work, she can survive off it for 50 years. Then also her estate, 50 years after her death. In other countries, it's 70 years. So the definition is the same, the intent is the same, it is universal, but the application is highly subjective and dependent on individuals and the laws of the jurisdiction where they actually are. So the copyright law of Nigeria is really not in intent, it's the same as that of Uganda, but how it is applied is different. So copyright is a legal right. It grants you, the creator, not partial, not mini, not part-time, but full-time exclusive control over an original work. It could be a book, it could be a work of art, it could be a piece of music, but anything that comes from your creative endeavor is your original work. And it prevents others from copying, from distributing, or performing anything related to your creative endeavor without permission because they are denying you. I maybe as an example, I'm a writer, yeah. And then I find that this school is photocopying my full book. So if I don't sell books, what do you think I'm going to eat? Yeah. And copyright protects the tangible expression of the ideas, not the idea itself. The ideas might not be unique, but you've put them in a certain form. Love is not a unique idea. It is not a unique concept. But how many songs about love do we listen to? And then somebody goes and claims copyright. Another thing with copyright is as much as it's your legal right, you have to claim it. You have to go through the registered authorities to make sure that you are identified as the creator. Otherwise, you will have disputes of this one sampled my song. Prove that it is your song. Every villager sings that song. We don't want those marketplace quarrels, please. This is 2026, my people. Yeah. Now, we've looked at copyright very briefly, and I want to move into the Wikimedia projects because remember, we are looking at commons without chaos. Many of us have heard of Wikimedia Commons. Perhaps we are curious about it. We have not really gone into depth. We've been at a workshop. We want to contribute something, but let's break it down and what it means to us in the context of today. It is one of the Wikimedia projects. I think there are 14 projects so far. And this project is old. It's not young. It's 22 years old, yeah? As of today, as I speak, it has over 142 million freely reusable media files, which anybody can contribute. You and I can contribute to Commons. You and I can actually get images from Commons and use. What do these files look like? What is the content? There are images, there are audio files, there are sounds, there are videos, there's the category of other media, and in other media, you have things like PDF files. If you have worked with Wikisource and you are, for example, importing something from the Internet Archive into Wikimedia Commons, into the Wikimedia family, then you will bring it in as a PDF. If we have been at a workshop Or example of this, if I'm to be asked for these slides for accountability, and my colleagues at Africa Wiki Women are now saying, by the way, the content from this workshop is now available. You can find the slides here. The slides are not going to be given as a .gif or some dancing thing. They are going to be uploaded as a PDF. So any kind of media that you can think of, any format of media, is actually game for Wikimedia Commons, but obviously with some clauses. So the stated aim of Wikimedia Commons is to provide a media file repository. Repository, that's the operative word. The other operative words are that this repository makes available public domain and freely licensed educational media content to all. And all the various projects of the Wikimedia Foundation can use those, whatever it is that they find in there. Go back to the vision and mission of Wikimedia. I can't quote it verbatim, but to provide knowledge free to the sum of humanity, regardless of what barriers might exist. Yeah. So, media content to all. It collects and shares educational media, but it is not just a storage space. It is also a system. It is a system that is designed to make knowledge reusable. That's a very simplistic thing, but behind this simplicity, there is something called licensing, there's something called metadata, and there's also the aspect of community governance that makes sharing and reuse possible at a small scale or at a grand scale, or any scale that your ambition might wish to take. If there are any questions so far, put them in the chat area. If I'm speaking too fast or too informal, please make that known too. So when you go to Wikimedia Commons, I'm assuming you've been there before. You went there in before this, yeah? You looked at it. Where do I start from? Oh my God, look at this image. Now, I don't understand. How am I supposed to download it? Blah, blah, blah. I'll go back to the assumption that all of us are acquainted at different levels with Wikimedia Commons. So from the outside looking in, Commons looks chaotic. It just doesn't look, it feels chaotic. Even to experienced editors, you go in there and for many content campaigns, actually, they assign somebody for Commons. So what are some of the problems that make Wikimedia Commons feel chaotic? And what is the impact of these problems to you and me as a Wikimedian? First and foremost, there's the misunderstanding of copyright. And when you misunderstand copyright, you will upload image 1 and image 2. You remember the dog giving the ex a job and why wives are some way? If you misunderstand and put these things there, your image will get deleted or it will get flagged. If I show you the warnings I received in my talk area for uploading images when I did not understand, you will understand why we think we know copyright, but why we misunderstand it. Then there is also incorrect or missing licensing. Yeah. Somebody uploads it under a license that is not generally accepted for Wikimedia Commons, because let me put this in right now, actually, the only license that is allowed for all these uploads on Wikimedia Commons is a Creative Commons license. I think the latest version is 4.0, but a license that grants full usability. Nothing like, oh, you can use it partially, you can use a quarter, you have to say my name. Okay, the credit is there and everything, but full Once you upload it, so be very careful as you're uploading your images on whatever, on Commons. They can and shall be reused anywhere. Yeah. So if we have incorrect or missing licensing, useful media becomes hard to find. And yet we want Commons to be an educational tool. There is poor or missing metadata. You have unclear titles. People didn't put captions. People just upload raw. It creates confusion for not only new contributors, by the way, it also creates confusion for older contributors. When I talk about metadata, if you look, let's say, through your phone and you decide to share an image or a file, or maybe in your computer, when you downloaded it, maybe you downloaded it from the internet, it just came with a random XYZ name. No form, no formula, nothing to identify it. Metadata could be the name, the creator, the license, when it was taken, what event it was taken at. So there are unclear descriptions. Very many of us are not that descriptive, yeah? So it creates a lot of confusion. Then there are duplicate or re-uploaded files, which reduce trust in content reuse. Now, duplicate, this one, people are going to catch strays on this one. Have you hired a wedding photographer, or when you're going for a Wikimedia event and a colleague takes images and it is mealtime and they just take pictures of food and then they upload 40 pictures of food? What am I going to do with plantain? You have not even described that it is plantain. What am I going to do with cabbage, you people? How many pictures of cabbages do we possibly need? Yeah, I'll leave that there. Then there's the lack of context when we're uploading them. There's no description of what, where, why. This is especially true when you come to campaigns. For example, a campaign might have a theme that says rites and rituals, and I upload a picture of a ritual or a rite, whatever it is here. But I don't give the context and say maybe this is the circumcision ceremony for this tribe. It takes place every even year in this kind of environment. Yeah. There's no description, there's no what, there's no where, there's no why. I cannot really use it for educational value because all I see is the image. Even if an image speaks 1,000 words, I really don't know the context to it. Yeah. And that might possibly lead to irresponsible reuse. Then there are ethical concerns. Wikimedians especially want to bring their children for events. As an example, actually, it's not an example, I've seen it. Yeah. And as you're taking a group picture, they insist on standing in the with on their child, a minor. We're not even talking about 17. We're talking about 2, 3, 4 years. Oh, I love my child so much. And then they upload their child's image um, on Commons. Yeah. There are no consent issues, or there's also no consent. For example, if you go for Wikimedia conferences, many times you will be asked if you are comfortable with your picture being taken. And if you're not, they will give you a different color of lanyard. I think it is red. And the photographer has been briefed that, you know what, since one boy is wearing a red lanyard, please do not take images of her. Along comes Alice, who feels her. She clicks, uploads on Commons. Yeah, I felt her. My friends, those are some of the issues that are making Wikimedia making Commons feel chaotic, and that creates extra cleanup work for volunteers. This extra cleanup work manifests itself in things like flagging, deleting, back and forth with editors, and so forth. And then there are the complex rules for new contributors. Some administrators make up rules as they go. Yeah. So a contributor, as much as they've been educated, somebody flags their work and that scares them and contributes to a slower contribution experience. So this chaos that you see, these are just some of the common ones. There are some that are specific to situations, specific to jurisdictions, specific to countries, specific to editors and editor types, yeah? That is some of the chaos we experience, but this chaos is not random. It normally happens when a structure is missing or not well explained or straight up misunderstood. So there's nothing wrong or right, but it is just a problem of educating yourself better. So, with everything that I've described, someone is going to ask, okay, so fine, if all those problems are manifest on commons, then what makes it work? This is the structure that we are talking about. Wikimedia Commons has a licensing system. It uses Creative Commons licenses, which we're going to look at. It also utilizes the public domain rules, something coming into the public domain, the copyright has expired. But it also emphasizes clear usage permissions, the license under which you can give something to commons. There's also structured metadata. Are the captions clear? Is the context explained? When you load an image, do you assign it a category? For example, images from Africa Wiki Women campaigns, image from Uganda for Wiki Loves Africa. And then there are also the Wikidata links. You can create a Wikidata item and therefore a link to this, whatever it is that you want to upload on Commons. Then there's community curation. We all know that editing has levels. You have the regular editors like myself, then you have the administrators, yeah, who they review and do the cleanup. They also do quality control and also enforce policy. So they will contact you and say, hey, Adeinka, I see that you uploaded this, but this is clearly a Google image. You cannot prove that you have permission from the author and anything else that could contribute to copyright violation. So the community also helps keep that in check. And then there is the discoverability. The discoverability is really linked to metadata. On Wikipedia especially, you will find that an image makes an article more visible. But when we come to discoverability in Commons, instead of just uploading randomly, you can do a Boolean search, yeah? Every image, maybe 2006 minus, that brings things from 2006 onwards. There are also categories. If you're doing a campaign, for example, we did Africa Wiki Women Loves Education and you took images, you create a category for that. Then there are also campaign collections, which I've talked about under the structured metadata because thematic campaigns are there to fill the gaps. So if you're just taking an image of wildlife but not putting it under the collection for that campaign, it just becomes a random image. All right. As we move on to Creative Commons licenses, are there any questions? Because that was just the foundation. Are there any questions that you feel could help you understand this next session better or the previous session? So,
Uh,
Madam MC, I'm waiting.
yes, there are some questions in the chat box, but
Shoot, shoot,
also,
shoot.
yes, you can also raise your hand if you want to ask your question physically. Also, Osman
Mm.
Ali, I am not sure I understood your question. Kindly type it again. So Nahabor is asking whether there is a limitation to the number of characters in the description.
Okay. Is that the only question?
No. There is also okay, sorry. There's also, does that mean that all minors should not be uploaded at all? Also,
Mhm.
yes, I think those are the only ones. Kindly, Usman Ali, don't shy away from typing your question again. I did
Okay.
not understand it clearly. Yes.
So in response to the limit to the number of characters, there is no limit, but please make sure that whatever it is that you're writing is sensible. Yeah. Um, at times, for example, you might have an audio and you have a transcription at the bottom. What if that audio is, for example, 1 hour long? It's a lot of content. So there's really no limit to the number of characters. However, we encourage you to write things in as sensible a manner as can give that whatever it is that you're writing educational value so that we quickly understand what it is that you're talking about, then the picture can tell us the rest. Now, when it comes to uploading images of minors, I gave that as an example, but we are going to look at that when we come to the ethical sharing of media. Is there anything else, Anne?
Yes, Usman Ali, thank
Mm,
you. My question is, how can a startup member, how a startup member can start uploading uh on Commons? I believe so. Yes.
okay. By startup, I assume, Mr. Ali, you mean that you're relatively new to Wikimedia, to the Wikimedia projects, and your account is relatively young. I assume that it is. So, basing on that, many times make sure that your account is at least 4 days old. There is the eagerness and the excitement that comes with being able to contribute, but I would strongly encourage the young editor to seek out resources that show different ways. Uploading is simple. Giving meaning to the image is not. Believe me, it is not. You will see all forms of intelligence at that point. It is an intelligence simulator. Mm? So there are many resources. I will share the links later that show you what Wikimedia Commons is, what is allowed, what is not allowed, what's permissible, what's not permissible, how to deal with certain kinds of content on Wikimedia Commons, how to deal with different structures when it comes to Wikimedia Commons. For example, what are the recommended ways of naming naming an image? What are the recommended ways of captioning an image? What metadata is necessary? What is the best license under which I can contribute this image? So, like I mentioned, most of the chaos we see comes from a minimal understanding of the structure that supports Wikimedia Commons. I hope that answers the question. Okay, I'll take the silence as a yes. So now that we have come, now we've talked briefly about copyright. We've identified that it is a legal right that you must actually pursue. Don't create and then lay back and say it's my copyright. Somebody else is going to register it. So you need to find out the Registration Services Bureau of your area and make sure that you go through the legal steps to be recognized as the creator, which gives you exclusivity over your creative work. You can decide who to share it with, how to share it, you decide a lot about it, and you're also able to profit from your creative endeavors. We've looked at the Wikimedia Commons, why it exists, and why it might feel very chaotic to not only a first timer, but to very many contributors. But we've also looked at how, or the structures that are able to, give a method to the madness. And we talked about Creative Commons as one of the structures that restores some semblance to the chaos. Now, people have heard about Creative Commons. You can put in the chat area and tell me what you think Creative Commons is. It doesn't have to be the definition that you see on the screen, but please let me know what you think about when Creative Commons comes to mind. I'll just give that a minute or a half, and then we can see. What comes to mind when you think of Creative Commons? Hey, my people, it's a Saturday afternoon. Media, yeah? Creative Commons, not Wikimedia Commons. Only Adenka has an answer? Or have we not heard about it? Or we just heard about it on the radio and moved on?
At
Oh,
least for me, I would say it's a space where creative works are posted. So if you'd like to
mm-hmm,
access any type of creative an upload that's creative, like a photo or an audio
mm,
file, you can visit there.
mm. Okay. All these answers, by the way, they lead up to the main thing. Now, I see creativity, free licenses. Yadeinka, own your answer, please. No shyness. Clear source to upload, media. Sounds like a place with software to directly create media on Wiki. Yes and no. Now, Wikimedia Commons is the platform where you upload. That's the physical layer. Those who have done networking, I think that's a layer one thing. But Creative Commons is now more conceptual. Creative Commons is a concept that has been translated into practice when it comes to media. So you don't upload anything on Creative Commons. But there are Creative Commons licenses. Yeah, they exist. And why do they exist? They exist to show permission to use content, and not just permission. The creator of that content has clearly given you the rules under which you can use their content. Do you know the sign for copyright? That C and something. I take it's a yes. So when you see it, you just know that there's copyright attached to this. But if you're also very keen and you're looking at the image or you're looking at content that you're reading on the internet, if you see any of the symbols that you're seeing on the screen, just know, my friends, just know that there's a Creative Commons license attached to that specific piece of work, and the creator is communicating something to you. Some of the basic things about Creative Commons licenses, by the way, Creative Commons licenses are like software. They also have upgrades. We had version 1, Then we had version 2. As of 2026, we are using version 4. Yeah. They evolve as information evolves, because maybe 10 years ago, AI generated content was not something to talk about. Nobody imagined it. But now you need licenses and laws that actually govern the use of AI generated images, for example. Yeah. 10 years ago, nobody thought that your social media posts could actually be used or be admissible as evidence in a court of law. Now you see people taking WhatsApp screenshots to prove that the person wanted to do you harm or something, yeah? So the Creative Commons licenses and what they allow keeps evolving over time. But the basic tenets of it are there has to be attribution. It could be, it's not a must. It could be shared in the way it is, like just pass this um that message. I don't know if you've ever seen those chain messages of forward this till it gets to whoever it gets to in this form, yeah? Then Creative Commons licenses are also non-commercial. And some of them allow for or do not allow for derivatives. Anytime you see the word by, you just know that attribution is required. That, guys, I'm using this image, but it came from Olua. Yeah. So every time you see the word by, every time you see those double CC Creative Commons, yeah, it will tell you. So you have the first license, and they become generous as they go down the line. Yeah, they at the top is at the top is copyright, which does not allow, and then you get into the Creative Commons, whatever realm, and things become easy and they become more generous. So the first one, okay, no particular order, you have to give credit. And under that license, anything is allowed. Just give me credit. You want to remix, you want to reuse, you want to redistribute, I don't care. Just give me credit. Yeah? Then you have Creative Commons, buy and share alike. If you can see where my cursor is. Credit me and share alike. The same permissions I've given you. If you're going to share it and credit me, then the person who uses it from wherever it is that you put it also has to do the same. Yeah? And then there's this third one. Credit and no changes allowed. This is the no derivative, yeah? Share it as is. Do not change anything. That, I think, applies to the WhatsApp messages where we see the president's speech. Okay, that's copyright, but yeah, do not change anything. Just give me credit. Then there's credit, yeah, for non-commercial use only. Do what it is that you want to do with my work. Credit me, but it is not for commercial use. You're not going to take this image and put it on your t-shirt and sell. There is no commercial use or reuse of my work that's allowed. So, like I've mentioned, I've taken the image, put it on a t-shirt. I've sampled your song and I am selling the song. Please help us. Yeah. And then credit, non-commercial, and share alike. As it is, as you got it from me, you will share it the same way. Even you, when you share it, there will be no commercial profitability for you. Just share it as is. Yeah. And then you have the requires attribution, no commercial, no derivative. This is, on the surface, it looks generous, but it's really not generous. It is as is. Attribute me. Yeah. By attribution, I mean state where you got it. You don't even have to say my name, but you can say that you got it from maybe my workplace, yeah? Nothing commercial about it. You will also not derive any commercial benefit from it, and you will not change anything at all. So actually from this last one here where my cursor is, they get progressively generous till you just get to the credit required and anything is allowed. Anything is allowed. Remember, I said you can remix, you can do for commercials, you can do in a TV advert, you can put on your t-shirts, on your bags, you can sell whatever it is that you want. They are that generous. The creator has told you how you will use their work. So, normally when it comes to Wikimedia Commons, these licenses apply. Remember when I said when you upload something onto Wikimedia Commons, yeah, be very careful how much you want to give away because it's out there, it's in the public domain. Public domain means no copyright applies to it. Public domain can be that way you've designed it and given it away via a Creative Commons license, or if it was originally copyrighted, your copyright period has expired. So as you're seeking to put things on Wikimedia Commons, I cannot stress this enough. Be very careful. Be very mindful what you want to share and how much you want to share because Wikimedia Commons wants everything. Don't be like, oh, use this picture, but blur my legs. I don't like my legs. They are brown, yet my face is black. As is, we will use it as is. So be very careful. So I hope that answers the questions. Wikimedia Commons is a platform, it's a repository. And Creative Commons licenses are simply a set of simple permissions, conceptual permissions that allow us to use content as guided specifically by the creator. Once again, I cannot emphasize enough, be very careful as you seek to upload things on on Wikimedia Commons. Okay, are there any questions related to that?
Let's type our questions in the chat box. But if you're courageous enough and we're here to encourage courage, you can raise your hand and ask the question as well. Also, this one did. I hope your question was answered. I asked him yes. There is a question. Hand up. Therefore, kindly unmute and ask your question, and then confidence will follow after.
Okay.
Dapa, unmute and ask.
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Like on the CC by SA 4.0, which is share alike. For instance, now someone picks my image on Commons and uses it on any article, and upon bumping into such an article or outside the social media, outside the wiki space, okay? Because on the wiki space, you must quote where you got the image before you can even use it on div or any other article. So I bumped into someone using my work and it was gotten from Wiki Commons, and I'm sure that's where it's gotten from. And the person did not distribute it as share alike, and I was not credited. At that juncture, do I have right to sue such a person for not following the Creative Commons license rules as stipulated on why the image or how the image should be used? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I guess we can take confidence. And you? unmute and ask.
Good day, ma'am. I want to ask, like, assuming I download a picture from the internet, then edited the picture and design it, maybe use it for a design, can I still upload it on Commons as my own work?
Thank you.
Do you
Thank
get
you for
me?
that question. Yes, we've had you. There is also one more question in the chat. Princess asks, how long does it take for a license to expire? Over to you, Alice. Unless we don't want to lock anyone else out. Anyone who has a question? Ramatu. Okay, that's it.
Sorry, I'd muted myself. Okay. Let me see if I can answer the questions in order. If I've forgotten, just let me know. So, Dapa, if I understand well, you say that you have given a scenario where you uploaded an image of yours on Commons. Then I come, download it from Commons, and I'm using it on another platform without having attributed you. And you're asking if you can sue or not. I hope I get it right. The decision to sue
Right.
or not depends on you and your pocket and how long you're going to keep up that fight. But if we are going to go technical, potentially you have a case on your hands. But it depends on the specific license that you attached to the image when you were uploading on Commons and how it was used. Many of them on Commons are just released under licenses, yeah? Which generally, the Creative Commons licenses, and these ones, they generally require that you attribute the creator. So these are the key points. If the image requires attribution and somebody reused it without giving the required credit, that may be a copyright violation. You, who's the copyright holder, is the person who will probably have the biggest dog in this fight when it comes to suing. But there might be, at this point, there might be so many works out there that are derived from it that following them up might be a challenge. But normally when such a thing happens, I remember there was a daily newspaper here called The Monitor that was picking images from Wikimedia Commons that we had obtained through campaigns and not giving them proper attribution. Before you even think of suing, yeah, we are people of peace. First, reach out and request the proper attribution. If that indeed is what you wanted, if you only wanted to be attributed, these are things that may be solved by through an understanding. It could be in writing, it could be in speaking, but reach out. But if the image is public domain, or you loaded it without a license, or with a license that did not require any attribution, then them failing to attribute you may not be a copyright violation. But all in all, please, 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 I hope that there is another session on where we can thoroughly educate ourselves on what the Creative Commons license are and what is the implication of using some of them or not using some of them, and in which situations are they applicable. I hope that answers your question. Then, I'd written the questions, but I don't even know where my notebook is. Okay. Oh, 24 Ray, sorry about that. How long does it take for a license to expire? Which license are we talking about? Please let me know which license are we talking about. Are we talking about a Creative Commons license or another license altogether? I believe that question was forwarded by Princess Umo. Okay, so I will assume for purposes of this that you're talking about the Creative Commons licenses. To answer your question, generally, most Creative Commons licenses do not expire as long as their conditions remain in force. But you have to take note of a few important things when you're okay, yeah, you've clarified. You have to take note of a few things, yeah? When you, as the creator, release your work, your image, your music, your book, whatever it is, when you release your work under Creative Commons license, many times that license is, how can I put it, irrevocable. You can't put it out there and then after a hundred of us have used it, you say, by the way, I've withdrawn it. Therefore, my copyright applies. We used it in the time when you had not yet revoked it, yeah? So you cannot later come and withdraw the license from those who have reused your work, yeah? I don't know if that makes sense. Also, remember that copyright terms vary by country, but they often last for you as the creator during your lifetime as well as beyond. But to answer your questions in general, Creative Commons licenses do not expire. Later on, you might want to change the terms, but there will be no specific expiry, which is unlike copyright where there's a specific expiry date. So every day you hear, oh, things came into the public domain. I don't know if it was last year or this year when the works of Walt Disney actually came into the public domain. So I hope that answers your question. Is there any question that I've not answered?
Actually, before we continue with the questions, I'd like everyone to
Yes.
turn on the camera so we can take a photo. And if you have a question, you can type. And again, you can also raise your hand so we can hear your voice as well. So yes, kindly turn on your cameras and give me a really bright smile so we can take a screenshot.
Let me stop sharing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Adenka, kindly help with the screenshots. I'm having a problem because of the recording. Confidence says you have not answered her question, so yes, we already revisit that. Okay. Thank you so much. All right.
Sorry,
Confidence
I've
had a
not been
question.
able to. Excuse me,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So let's smile one more time.
Let me be set, then I'll tell us to unmute.
All right.
I'll tell us to, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So maybe Alice can continue answering Confidence question. Confidence, kindly remind us your question.
I asked, assuming that I downloaded an image from Google, then I edited the image. Maybe in my Corel Draw, I edited it and redesigned the image. Then, if am I permitted to upload it on Common as my
No.
own?
Confidence. Google Images are actually copyrighted images. So unless you looked at the source and the metadata and you know that the creator had actually given you specific permissions, it will not be allowed. Your thing will be flagged for deletion.
Okay, ma.
Does that
Thank you.
answer that question?
Yes, ma.
All right. So now we are going to approach that dicey area called ethics. What's your understanding of ethics? You can put that in the chat area, but I want us to bring these three things together. We have looked at what copyright is. We have looked at the definition. We may or may not have a clearer understanding, but we all agree that it is your legal right and it gives you exclusivity. Now, in the Wikimedia world, copyright, unfortunately, is not our friend, but we recognize why it exists. We don't want it to go away simply because by what we can get in the public domain, we are grateful for. We've also looked at Wikimedia Commons as being if it was a thing, the physical layer, like a granary where we take things for storage. It's a repository. Then everybody who wants comes and takes something. But if Wikimedia Commons is a granary, yeah, everybody in the village is technically allowed to deposit something there, but also get something out of there. We would want that everything is freely accessible, but at times it might not be possible, and therefore the Creative Commons license is the cheat. You know those days when you go to school and they're like, oh, let the bursar give you a cheat, and you go to the quartermaster and he gives you food. Those are the Creative Commons licenses for you. So the creator has deposited things in the granary, but has also given us specific rules about how we can use whatever he has deposited there. I hope that analogy works well. Now, when it comes to ethics, everybody is always talking about ethics. Ethics have become ethics, my people. Ethics have really become ethics. But what is ethics from your understanding? Let me see if anybody has put anything in the chat area. Ethics are rules and conduct, yeah? I agree with you, Princess. Usman, we'll get to that. And so there are rules and conduct. You know, ethics, there could be guidelines also. Yes, Evelyn, thank you very much, yeah? Ethics at times are just instinctual to us, yeah? That humanly, you know, when somebody says, humanly speaking, you can't do this. Humanly speaking, it's our duty to protect children. Oh my God, in this era of the internet and social media, you can't go around doxing people's addresses. How do you know if a stalker is coming? etc, etc, etc. Yeah? But when we look at ethics in the context of media sharing. Ethics, we may agree it's some things, we may agree that it is not, but we will also look at how far it goes and what it actually does in how far it can go. So in the context of media sharing, ethics goes beyond what is merely legal. Remember the copyright and the commons, Creative Commons, we were looking at a legal layer, yeah? Ethics in the context of media sharing concerns how you and I should create, distribute, reuse, and credit content. And not just that, in a responsible manner. So some of the core ethical principles that are included in ethics is the attribution and credit. Morally and legally, you are obliged to credit where you got your work from. Yeah? Even when content is legally reusable, it's generally ethical to acknowledge the creator's work. Now, this proper attribution, it respects not only the creator's effort and skill, It helps others find the original source, and it promotes transparency about where the content actually came from. And then ethics also inculcates in us a respect for intellectual property. Ethical media sharing involves respecting the rights and wishes of creators. Follow the license terms. Do not claim somebody else's work as your own. And avoid, above all, the unauthorized use of copyrighted material. Ethics also manifests in accuracy and context. Ethical sharing of media means avoiding uses that might be misleading. Please refrain from altering images or videos in ways that create false impressions without disclosure. If AI creators are even supposed to do that, then how much more are we doing with what we know? Please don't present media as depicting something that it is not. That is the lack of context we were talking about. And also when you're sharing, give context. Context is important when you're sharing. Another way that ethics manifests when it comes to sharing is privacy and consent. Look at it this way. Just because content can be shared does not always mean that it should be. Yeah? You have to consider whether the people or the individuals, especially with people, yeah? You have to consider whether they consented to it. And also some of us share private or personally identifying material without justification. It's that example that I gave you where you go, when you are registering to attend a Wikimedia conference and you're asked, what name would you like to use? Some people actually say, just give my username. Others say, use my full name. Others, when they are asked, would you like your images to be taken? Some will say, I do not mind. And others are very clear that I mind. And you will normally find them with a differently colored lanyard. Normally it is red or yellow. Then here you come, someone is wearing a red lanyard and you're there taking their picture and uploading it to Commons. Ugh, ugh, ugh. Then there's also fairness and respect. Media, whatever it is that you see in the media, it can affect reputations and it can also affect the public's perception and understanding of not only you, but the person that you have presented or misrepresented. So in this case, if you're going to ethically share, you will avoid things like harassment or targeted abuse. You will avoid manipulative editing, and you will also avoid that thing that we call misinformation. There are so many other things that relate to ethics, but the last one I would like to concentrate on is also the accountability. If you're going to be an ethical sharer of media, you will be obliged to correct mistakes when you discover them, to remove or to update inaccurate content, and you will also be taking responsibility for the impact of what it is that you have shared. But let us go back to now what we see on the screen. When we look at the screen, we now realize that Creative Commons, Wikimedia Commons, platforms, licenses, but ethics actually now deals with something else. From the aspect of meaning, if we are looking at it from the point of Commons and Creative Commons, you will ask yourself the legal question: does this follow copyright and the licenses associated with it? But when you look at it ethically, you will consider the impact on people and context. That as much as you followed copyright and context, please consider the impact on the people. Then, On the issue of another question, just the main question, am I allowed to do this legally? Maybe I am, but should I do it if I'm looking at it from an ethical standpoint? Should I do this as much as I'm allowed to? Some things you can afford to ignore. There are hills you can walk away from. You will, my friend, you can afford to die another day, not today. When we look at the aspect of where the rules come from, on the legal layer of Creative Commons, copyright, Wikimedia Commons, we are guided by the copyright law, we are guided by Creative Commons licenses, we are looking at the Wikimedia Commons policy. But as much as all those have come, there is the innate thinking of human values, there's the human dignity, there's also the cultural sensitivity. Some people or some tribes who perform in rites and rituals do not necessarily want this information to be out there. Yeah. And then there's the consent. When it comes to the legal bit of it, the commons and everything, at times, not always, but it may be required legally. It depends on the context. But when you look at consent from an ethical point of view, it is really important, especially when it comes to people in images. When you look at sensitive content, it might still be allowed. As a creator, I can give it over. When you're uploading on Commons, it might still be allowed. But even if it's on Commons, is it appropriate to share? Like even if nodes are being allowed on Commons, for example, are they appropriate to share? So that's the innate you, that's the moral you speaking. Then Creative Commons, copyright, Wikimedia Commons, they focus on permission. But when it comes to ethics, you're looking at the aspect of responsibility. And just as an example, legally, for example, I'm supposed to attribute, Creative Commons by share alike, used with credit. But then, as an example of ethics, I have to be very careful. If, for example, I'm taking a picture of rioters, I say to my mom, I'm sick, I'm not going to school. She's busy seeing me in images there. Please, I'm a school child. Do not share me. I came to fight for my country, not for my face to be shown. It matters why. And then there are also risks that are likely to occur if something is ignored. If you ignore the legal part, there'll be copyright violations, there'll be takedowns, there'll be all sorts of things that might happen to you legally. And if you ignore ethics when it comes to images, you'll do harm. You will misrepresent things. Also, do you have the emotional stamina to deal with the backlash that's going to come with that? I do not know. So legal use tells us what to do. Yeah. Creative Commons, Wikimedia Commons, copyright. It tells us what to do with permissions and all that. But the ethical use guides us on how we should actually do it. Now, I would like to go back to the question that somebody asked about minors. If minors being uploading pictures of minors contradicts ethics or something. The world over, legally, ethically, morally, whichever standpoint you look at it, dealing with minors is a very sensitive issue. There is no hard and fast yes or no. But if you can avoid depicting minors or representing them in situations or doxing them, I kindly ask, I appeal to the moral part of you. Please avoid minors. Yeah? Please avoid minors. There is no hard and fast rule, but it is a recommendation. Where minors are concerned, there is a lot of potential legal issues that are likely to occur that is just best left alone. If you're at a Wikimedia gathering and somebody insists on having their child in a photo, you could just take them aside and say, but listen, are you sure this is okay? Because we are going to upload these things on Commons. Do you really, gentle questions, if I may ask. But if you feel strongly as an organizer about it, stand your ground and say, listen, we're going to take this image, but we are not going to have the minor in this image.
Hi,
Okay.
Alice.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. I wanted to tell you that we have 15 minutes to go.
In 15 minutes, we'll be done.
Okay.
So, this is the last part, actually. Now, with everything that we know, yeah, I need you to ask yourself some questions, yeah? There are scenarios. The first scenario is Confidence has found a perfect image on Google Images. It has no watermark and no copyright label. Then Alice was in the streets of Instagram and noticed that a photographer had posted a very good image and tagged themselves as the creator. And then Alice said, I want to upload that to Commons. Then maybe Dapa was invited as a photographer at an event. He went, it was a public event, and now he has come back and wants to upload it. Olua was busy capturing people who are striking. There are many people. It's a busy street scene. And there are people that can be identified. And none of those people gave her consent, but she wants to go ahead to Commons. Then maybe Ramatu went to a museum. There was a very old painting. She took a picture. Somebody else was watching something on YouTube. She said, this has to go to the world. You people. She did a screenshot, wants to upload it on Commons. And then Princess said, Wikipedia already has this image. I see it on the article, but I want to download it and then re-upload it to Commons. What do you think? Are these items for Commons or not? Before we even move on to the next slide where we are ending things, which is for Commons and which is not, with any reason why? Okay, are the Google images for Commons, Instagram repost, event that Dapa was photographing at? Okay, the answers will come, but let's look at the next slide, which is our last slide for the day, with our reasoning. Maureen, you don't know. Okay, Monica, we'll look at that. So with Google Images, someone was asking, I hope this answers you. It's not for Commons, please. Most images on Google are copyrighted. No watermark, no signs or anything does not mean free. Search engines are not licensing platforms. They just show you, but they're not licensing platforms. Instagram repost, that is also not for Commons. Please, I urge you, do not bring your friend's work from Instagram onto Commons. Posting online, just because I posted it online does not grant me reuse rights, yeah? Or grant you who has viewed it reuse rights. The creator still owns the copyright unless on Instagram they explicitly licensed it with a Creative Commons license. So being publicly visible does not make it freely reusable. Those who take events at photos, it's usually yes, but it may depend on the context. You own the copyright as the photographer. You can license it freely. But my friend in Africa, where I gave you money to photograph my wedding, you're not going to put it on Commons. Yeah? But if you decide to, please choose an appropriate license. crowd photo with faces, that also is conditional and depends on the context. Legally, it may be fine in public spaces, but ethical and privacy concerns apply. Commons wants images that are context aware. So just because it's legal does not make it appropriate. Whoever went to the museum, it was old, blah, blah, blah. The painting itself may be in the public domain, but the person who holds that image, museum restrictions or lighting, reproduction may apply in some cases. So, tread with caution. Screenshot from YouTube. Please do not bring it to Commons, yeah? Screenshots of copyrighted video content inherit the copyright protection of the owner. So you cannot bypass video copyright via screenshots. Then Wikipedia already has it, blah blah. Not necessarily. Conditional, depends on the context. If the original file exists on Commons, re-uploading may break attribution history. It will lead to duplicate efforts, confusion, and all that. An image is still it. You can't say it's better than the other, especially if you didn't do anything with it. So please, if you can, always reuse existing Commons files and do not duplicate. Madam Moderator Wamboi, I want to hand back to you and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can I see some red hearts and some ululations, because that has been a very educative session. Thank you so much, Alice, for sharing your knowledge. And now I'm wondering, why were you panicking at first asking whether you're going to meet our requirements? You have actually done so and have met our expectations and actually exceeded them. Thank you so much. Remember, there was
Thank
a
you.
task we were doing earlier where you smile and
Mhm.
let us take a screenshot of you. Now let's do that. And if you have any other question, don't feel shy to type or raise your hand and we can ask Alice before she leaves. Just clear your doubts about Wiki Commons and copyright licensing, because we have seen there are legal implications that are involved. So yes, don't shy away from asking your question. So yes, come on, let's turn on our cameras and smile as Adeinka takes a screenshot for us. And now can we upload this on Commons? Do we have your consent?
By the way, let me tell you something. There's a time I had a meeting with
Mm-hmm.
volunteers and I uploaded the screenshot as part of the proceedings, and I said, oh, guys, I've uploaded this part of my accountability. As you take the picture, I want to show you what the whatever that came, the
Mm-hmm.
message that came. It was speedily deleted because what are you talking about? But I think you can see what I was told when I uploaded a screenshot. Now,
Yes.
I have never recovered.
Oh no. Uh-huh. What does it say? Has
It
been marked as a
said,
possible copyright violation.
mhm,
Wikimedia Commons only accepts free content, that is, images and other media files that can be used by anyone for any purpose.
mhm. Let me just
Additional.
take you to
Mhm.
me fighting for myself.
Uh-huh.
He said that it was flagged as a com screenshot that included what may have been non-free user icons. You people, as my colleagues in Kenya would say, nimeshindwa.
The accuracy. Uh-huh.
So that's what I was told. But
Mm-hmm.
try and see. You won't break the system. The worst you can get is a notification.
Oh yeah, we will try and see.
Sorry, I
But thank
wanted
you
to
so
ask,
much. Uh-huh.
sorry, I wanted to ask,
Mm.
did you inform them you were going to take a screenshot before you did?
I did. It was even in the house rules. I always, as policy, tell people that this is
Right.
going to be recorded, and this. But
For
with a
documentation.
stationary screenshot, it's hard to prove that everybody understood.
With the, I'm more of a commons contributor, okay? Let me turn on my camera for this. I'm more of a commons contributor and I'm more of a photographer. And what happened with that screenshot is not actually from my experience. It's not actually from nobody reported that screenshot. I think there was an icon or something that was captured in that screenshot which you didn't pay attention to.
I wonder
Which you
what
didn't
it
pay attention
was.
to. Yes, there was an icon. It could be a company logo, any other icon that was captured unknowingly to you, and you didn't know about it. So that was what caused um that taking down of that image, that screenshot. Because most of my workshops, seminars, I do take screenshots. I inform them I do take screenshot. But before I take it to Commons, I have to take it to Photoshop
Yes.
and crop it. So
Well, that's something to consider. Ethics.
yes, before you take it to Commons, you have to do your due diligence. Since Commons, these people that used to walk around to check some of these things and bring them down. In Nigeria, they say since the birds have learned how to fly without perching, the hunters have also learned how to shoot without missing. So that's it. So next
Iron
time you have to
sharpens
pay
iron.
attention to your screenshot and crop it to a size just to that screen of the people that you have taken their screenshot. Just crop it to that size. Let nothing fall out of the frame.
Okay.
I'll just put when faces are blurred, but that's okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Alice. Is there anyone with a question as I gave you the good news? So yes, we have had a training session, a workshop training session on Wikimedia Commons and how to avoid chaotic uploads and all, how to ensure that you are as per with the copyright laws, licensing, and ethical media sharing. So the good news is that our June workshop is going to be mainly testing your Wiki Commons skills that you have learned today. So we are going to require the participants, and I hope everyone is going to participate. And also congratulations to the ones who participated last time and the winner. I hope we also get to see you in this month's editathon. So our editathon is going to start on Monday. On Monday, our editathon starts on Monday. So we're going to send a reminder in the group. So don't worry, we got you. But this editathon is going to be a bit different. We are going to be paying attention to the Wiki Commons. And for you to be acknowledged as as a participant, you will have to have uploaded at least one image in the Wiki Commons. And I believe we have been taught today by our teacher Alice, and we will remember to follow all the corporate laws and open and licensing as well. And that does not restrict you from editing on Wikipedia or Wikidata. No, it does not. And also that does not mean that the only images you can post are about Wiki women or women in general. You can post photos that you can actually find, a photo of a heritage, a monument. It could be place, nature. It could be mountain, any kind of photo that you find, because sometimes you understand photographing people is actually really difficult, and sometimes it might go against the ethics that we have been taught today. So I hope to see you participate in the coming editathon that starts on Monday. Don't forget to also include your contributions in the link that we shall share, because then we will not know how you have contributed to the